Lugard originally preferred to call the territory Niger Sudan, but Flora Shaw, later his wife, she rejected the name because it might be confused, she said, with the already existing French Sudan. That ancient Greek philosophers coined the word Niger as referring to a river that was considered an extension of the Nile. Eventually, Lugard was to allow Flora Shaw to have her way and to name their new obsession Nigeria.
Flora Shaw, the girlfriend of Lord Lugard, could not give us a name because the cognomen of Nigeria is derived from the Latin nigr. Nigr is black. It is from nigr that we got Negro. And now, in fact, the racists now call us niggers, nigger area. The world's largest concentration of black people to be using that epithet of Nigeria. Nigeria is not a name that I'm proud of.
Professor Akin Ibodi, a decorated professor of law and vice chancellor, one of the greatest minds in Nigeria. The word nigger, probably one of the nastiest, most divisive words in the English language today. Racial connotations are enormous. But in 1902, when Lugard and Shaw were buccaneering across northern Nigeria, did it have that derogatory meaning already? Its origins probably date back to the 18th century, the 1700s, where the phrase was probably popularized. But it reached the height of its racial connotation in the mid-20th century, in the 1900s. But what do African Americans think? What do they think of a place like Nigeria that is so a large part of their ancestral belonging? Now knowing the meaning of the word Nigeria, do they feel a triple insult as to their own ancestral origins? What do Nigerians think? Do they feel a sense of shame and insult every time they proclaim their patriotic nationality? Something that somebody forgot to change, unlike Nyasaland becoming Malawi and Rhodesia becoming Zimbabwe. What do you think? Always candid with his wife, while recalling his life experience in Africa amongst the natives, he once said to her, "I have lived all my life largely amongst my inferiors." As an administrator, he chose a high hand and a low concern for Nigerians. The Sheikh of Borno was said to have stood in his magnificent splendor in front of Lugard. He held the Quran and gazed at Lugard with caution. "Is there anything that you want me to swear to that will interfere with Islam?" "No, nothing at all," Lugard replied. "I can assume the wishes of my forefathers without fear of betrayal?" Lugard responded with reverence, "Yes, Sheikh." The monarch then solemnly stated, "I swear I shall observe your conditions and all you say." By 1912, Lugard was back, appointed the governor of northern Nigeria with a clear mandate to complete the task of unifying the territory into one administration. We're now here in what would have been the northernmost tip of southern Nigeria in 1913. Behind me is the town of Kishi in present-day Oyo State. And to my southeast is the town of Ilorin in present-day Kwara State. And to my northeast is the old military headquarters of the West African Frontier Force, the town of Jeba. And this, in December of 1913, would have meant that if I took a few steps before midnight, I'd be in northern Nigeria. The task of joining the two Nigerias into one had fallen on Lugard after the joinder of the Lagos colony with southern Nigeria. The two Nigerias united together was going to create a large and significant territory. So significant, it was 5 times the size of England and Scotland joined together. A third of the size of British India, which itself is now 3 different countries. This was a significant territory. There's 17 million people with a population of 3,000 Europeans. Only 40% of them were involved in that British administration, the rest in commerce. Their projected revenue of the United Nigerias in 1914 was to be £3 million, which in today's money is £300 million. This was not a little part of the empire. This was a significant part of the empire. That was the chicken change. It was Lugard's duty to make this dividing line disappear. Let's see how you do.